I'm pleased to take part in this important discussion. The magnitude and scope of inequalities that have been exposed and exacerbated by COVID-19 are truly shocking, although not really surprising. We are talking about inequalities fueled by discrimination, gaps in coverage of social protection systems, or inadequate social protection benefits, all accelerating and deepening the impacts of the pandemic. The numbers are staggering. We have witnessed the first rise in extreme poverty in 2 decades. Over 100 million people are already being pushed into extreme poverty. Around 255 million jobs have been lost in 2020 alone. A number of people living with food insecurity rose to an unprecedented 2.38 billion people. The human rights scars of this pandemic run deep, and we must act urgently to stop them from growing even deeper. The only way for us to recover better and more resilient is by basing our efforts on human rights. And how do we do that? It is simple, by learning the lessons the pandemic has taught us. That means ensuring that social protection, the right to health, and other economic, social, and cultural rights are no longer viewed as theoretical aspirations, but treated and guaranteed as the right that they are, well beyond COVID-19. Recovery measures must include robust social targets. It has become crystal clear social protection systems are not a drain on resources. They are an invaluable investment in sound societies. The pandemic has also taught us that in order to address inequalities, we must end discrimination of any kind. The people most affected were those already most vulnerable due to systemic discrimination. I'm referring to women, people of African descent, older people, members of minority communities, indigenous people, persons with disabilities, migrants, and LGBTI people, among others. A human rights-based response will ensure their participation. The voices of the most affected and vulnerable must inform the recovery efforts. And in these efforts, we must not lose sight of interlinked environmental crises of pollution, climate change, and biodiversity. Once again, human rights must be part of the solution. Just last month, the Human Rights Council created the mandate of a special rapporteur on climate change and recognized for the very first time the human right to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. We will support countries in their efforts to implement it. We have also advocated for human rights-based approaches to climate action at the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow. And finally, the pandemic has shown us how interconnected we are. We either stand together or we fall apart. Let me stress it again. Vaccines and medicines against COVID-19 must be considered as a global public good. Renewing solidarity within every society and between nations is both the right thing to do and the smart thing to do. It is also a cornerstone of the Secretary General's Common Agenda, which aims to combat inequality and guide us to recovering better from the pandemic. As he said, and I'll quote him, "Now is the time to re-embrace global solidarity and find new ways to work together for the common good." End of quote. I count on all of you. Thank you.